Well, friends, let me start by saying that Amber does not have to go to counseling at this point in time. If she wants to stop, she should stop so that way that the divorce can continue because she's not repairing the marriage. No, because she's here, we're going to have to talk on this actual counseling session. No, it will take me a little longer to break this video down because I'll have to stop it and pause it so I can explain exactly what's going on. Let's go.
How did we get here?
Since I always seem to be the blame, I'll go ahead and explain what happened with Wayne and I. Wayne sometimes just lacked respect for me, for the love that I know we both felt. But not Anthony. Anthony was, he treated me like a queen.
So, for starters, so what Amber is letting him know is that pretty much you were just the second guy. In other words, she really and truly wanted Wayne, but you were the guy that was there. That's pretty much what she's saying in her thing. All right, just making sure we're on the same page.
It was a moment of weakness. A moment of what if? Maybe I was missing out on something. Maybe I wasn't ready to be a wife. I don't know. It was self-doubt. It was a lot of things that turned into betrayal and deceit.
All right. She fear in saying that, yes, it's a moment of weakness because it is. It can be a moment of weakness in terms of her, the day of her sleeping, the day of her wedding when she's sleeping with Wayne, a moment of weakness because she's thinking, hey, I wonder if I'm making the right choice. I wonder if I'm doing the right thing. You know what? Maybe, we still need to go at this. Am I really ready? In those times, she could have had some therapy. That's pretty much what she's trying to say, but she didn't.
I could have fell back in that trap, but I didn't because I loved Anthony with my whole heart. And I was committed to him and committed to God, and I meant it.
Is that true? Did it change things for you?
I would say so. It's like I wasn't always like this.
Okay, so the counselor is trying to establish a certain point of view. I understand it's tough that they have to stay on the one thing, but I think what she's trying to do is close up the argument of what Wayne has done in the relationship. That's all she's trying to do. She's trying to close up what the Wayne thing actually is, where it come from, what does it mean to their marriage, what's actually going on, and so. Yes, of course, Anthony going to say, hey, it changed him and whatever it is, he's going to go into the whole rant. But that's really and true what the counselor is trying to do. Because that's what you do in counseling sessions. Sometimes you have to close up a particular argument. You don't want to leave it open. You understand? Or you want to establish some amount of what you call it now, agreement between both parties. So that's what she's trying to do.
Like if you would have gone back in time 5, 10 years ago, like I wanted to be married. I wanted to be in a relationship. It's like, why am I being punished for always trying to do the right thing?
So what he's saying is after I'm done sleeping with Shayla, or when he went back to Shayla's house, because y'all remember this story if y'all were watching years ago. When he went back to Shayla's house to tell Shayla that, hey, it was a mistake that had happened, and Shayla told him, that's when this particular thing happened to him where he started to think in his mind and process that, hey, it's almost like I'm always getting, beaten for doing the right thing. I'm always getting whipped for trying to my best in whatever relationship that I have. It's a fair argument, okay? No, there are other parts to it. Don't worry, guys. I'm not picking up for Anthony at all. I'm just giving you the counseling session and what she's processing out of it. There are other parts to it for sure. But that's what he's saying. He's saying, hey, it felt at that moment, at that point in time, it feel like, I no matter what I do, I'm always getting the short end of the stick. People can feel that way. Nothing is wrong with that. People can feel that way.
And so maybe I just got tired of doing the right thing.
Amber, can you see how that impacted his heart, Anthony's heart? And are we clear that that's what really changed the dynamic of your relationship?
Yeah. Yeah. And I regret it every day.
All right. So here's the deal now with the counselor in this, where I'm gonna have to flag the counselor. All right, for saying that, Amber, can you see? Is it clear are strong words. What you can say is, hey Amber, based on what Anthony is saying, can you see what he's saying, in other words? Then, but to say can you see is almost like she's saying, hey, this is the definite thing that has actually happened. And that's the problem with the counseling session, where now I would have to draw back and say the counselor may have misstepped, and counselors are going to misstep because that's how counseling is. They're human beings. But that's now kind of a misspeech into how you put it together. It's not one of the best statements, because it sounds as though you're saying it's the ultimate end all be all, and we all know that there's no definite and absolute in life. You understand? So that's where now I'd have to flag the counselor by saying, no, you can't really say it's an absolute, because there could have been other factors. However, can you see that this is one of the factors as to why Anthony has done what he has done? That's how I would have approached it differently from what the counselor has done here. That's just the difference in how I would have done this particular session to process what I'm processing out. But this was, it's a decent session because she got to, the whole idea of having Amber get some amount of realization, which is what she's doing. She's trying to use different therapy techniques to try to get her to understand what exactly is going on and what's happening. That's all she's trying to do. Get different therapy sessions, different interventions to let them understand that. Now that it's processed and done and over, right? Again, as I've said before, she doesn't have to go to counseling. Amber don't have to go. She can stop going to the counseling sessions because, yet again, as I've said, Anthony is not going there in good faith. Now, it is good that she has done this because, of course, by now, he understands what the problems were. Why Wayne came up. Why Wayne was a thing. He can get that for himself and move on. Now, as far as everything else, I just said that, is he gonna be vulnerable enough to talk about Shayla? That's now the question. Now that we have addressed the Wayne issue, is Anthony going to be vulnerable enough to address the Shayla issue? And I'm not talking about a simple, yeah, well, it was no. I'm talking now that we have laid it on the table. Is he now going to actually address the Shayla issue? If he does that, then I might can give him a point or a half a point or something to that effect. But at this point in time, I can't give him the points because he hasn't really addressed anything more than he has tried to make her feel bad, which is always have been his tactic. But that's what they were doing in the counseling session. I know this video was long, but I had to. Like, share, comment, subscribe. I'm going to talk to y'all soon.